Joined by Hofstra head coach Frank Catalano and catcher C.J. Griggs, the walk-off hero in today's 11-10 win over Northeastern to win the series. First off, coach, thoughts on today's win?
Big win, really big win. Very proud of the guys after yesterday's tough loss, coming back, scoring 4 runs in the first 3 innings, and when we lost the lead, it kind of deflated us a little bit. But the guys stayed up on the bench, and we scored some runs late, and then in that last inning, it was a perfect recipe. The guy was having some trouble throwing strikes, and then we had the best guy that I wanted up at the bat in that situation in CJ, because he's got such a good eye, and he's one of my best hitters, and I know if he's not going to get a hit, he's probably going to walk. So it was good to have him up there, and luckily he was able to get one through the infield.
All right, CJ, can you talk us through that at bat? What were you feeling? What did you see from the pitcher on that game-winning hit?
I was looking for a fastball because his fastball didn't really do much, and I was just trying to have a good approach, get something over the plate and just hit it hard. That guy was the same guy who struck me out in the 9th on Friday to keep the game tied. So I knew that I had to have a good mental and just get back at him. So I was able to come through.
Talk about the emotion when you see that ball go through the infield and you score the winning run.
I mean, it's awesome to beat a program like Northeastern, and really, I mean, that's a statement for us. We kind of proved ourselves if we weren't already proven to the conference. And I'm so thrilled. I'm so grateful to have all these guys. So privileged to be coached by these guys, and to be able to come through for them is just awesome.
You also looked really good behind the plate today. I think you had 2 assists across the 9-inning game. How do you kind of see yourself as both that power hitter and that defender, and how do you kind of balance being a good catcher and a good hitter? Because you haven't been catching as much, even more in the DH, but got to start behind the plate today.
Thank you, first of all. I mean, honestly, credits to Biddle. He's awesome back there. Me and him work really hard. He's the best teammate ever. We help each other in a lot of different ways. So credits to him. And then, I mean, I'm confident in my abilities as an all-around player. And a big game like today, I knew I had to be focused, can't take a pitch off. So, yeah.
Another strong offensive game in terms of, obviously the run scored, but a lot of hits, 15 hits on the day. Offense has really been chugging. What's the recipe that's been working?
I think we've been having good at-bats. We've been walking a bunch. We've been swinging at good pitches, right? What we were earlier in the season, when we were getting in our 1-0, 2-0, 3-1 counts, those hitting counts where the pitcher has to come in the zone, we were taking a lot of pitches or mishitting them, foul. I feel like we're not missing our pitches to hit right now, and it's helping us out a lot.
Strong start from Sean Hamilton. The line might not look as good with that, 4 runs in that last inning, but what'd you see from him in his return to the weekend rotation?
I thought he was outstanding. I was very happy because we needed that out of him in this game, and I thought his stuff was really good, and I'm sure CJ can speak to it more, but stuff-wise, that was probably the best stuff I've seen him have, and he's a guy that we need to get going, and hopefully this was the start of it.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, he was so good in between the ears today. I think that's what really changed the game for him, just attacking the zone, knowing that those guys aren't better than him. So yeah, he had awesome energy, awesome confidence, and then he was just mowing them down through the first 4. So, yeah.
Talk about the confidence you showed in Nick Reese, bringing him in a tough spot there in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, we thought he was the right guy in that spot. Listen, he's got a bright future, and he's got to be put in some of these tough situations. Sometimes it's not easy for a freshman, but wanted to give him that confidence, let him know that we trust him, and he came through.
Another freshman who seems to be bringing with confidence, Daniel Escalante, big home run, 3 hits. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, he's not scared. He's a real good hitter. He's got a good approach. And he comes to the ballpark every single day, wanting to play the game. He wants his name in the lineup. So, I'm sure he's going to be in there more often because I like what I see.
Before we've talked about, needing some getting some games, getting some wins, build some confidence after a series like this. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, no, it's huge. You beat a program like Northeastern 2 out of 3. I think it just our confidence now. I can just tell these guys are very confident, and now we've got to keep rolling with the games in the CAA. This upcoming weekend.
Bottom of the ninth, your team saw both Basil and Sapienza, 2 pitchers we've seen earlier this series. What was kind of the approach to kind of attacking against them?
Yeah, for me, it was, we were taking a strike. We wanted to take a strike, let them, have to throw a lot of pitches, and they walked some guys, and when they had to come in the zone, we were ready to hit it. And, like we saw there at the end, with CJ was even, was taking that 1-0 pitch, and it was right down the middle of the plate, but he didn't, that didn't discourage him. He was ready to hit, and he was able to come through.
All right, guys, thank you. Enjoy the win. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent.